you find yourself in a dead, silent chasm. There's not much farther to climb. You can see Zions down below you. He helps you to the ground. Very strange how the sounds don't reach here. It's as if it's been baffled or obscured somehow. Or maybe whatever's in that cave only wishes to project the sound around it.
How does the chaos feel around here?
Deadened. The chaos rock is losing its brightness.
So I have chaotic interdiction as a sorcery, and I'm wondering if this deadening is caused by something chaotic, and if I can interrupt it down here, or if it's literally just that all the chaos is just above us.
Can you roll your chaotic interdiction dice pool, please? It's a really good idea using the sorcery to do this, because there may well be something interfering, and while you may not be able to cancel it, you might be able to detect it with this sorcery.
So that is 2 hits.
Okay. On 2 hits, you can't stop this. What you can detect is there is a nullification in place here. There is a kind of mineral in the earth around here known as deep stone. It's said to have an abyssal quality, which is seen generally as the antithesis of chaos. Where chaos is light and life and chaotic energy, the abyss is quite the opposite. And deep stones, much as chaos rocks are formed from crystallized chaos, deep stones are said to form from teardrops of the abyss. Have enough of them in enough quantity, they will deaden a chaotic area. This place has been deliberately shielded in such a way. You're not going to be able to interfere with that unless you start mining the place.
I'll relay that to Zion's. It's not that weird actually. It's probably deep stone. There's a lot of it around here. I don't know. It seems purposeful, but
Well, let's wait for the other 2 then. Now, I'm not going to require Trellin and Luck to make repeated athletics and dexterity rolls, and likewise you could make athletics and might instead if you prefer. But also, do check your theses and syntheses and sorceries in case any of them would assist you on your attempt. You will gain an enhancement to your climb.
Well, I don't think I have anything that would help that, especially other than my natural dexterity, so maybe we'll go for an athletics dexterity roll here.
Go for it.
I got 1 hit, so with the enhancement, that I think would be 2 hits. Oh, sorry, 3 hits. 3 hits.
Are you making any effort to approach the cave as you go past?
I am not. I notice my companion goes straight past it, and I just perk my ears up, but I'm quite happy to judge what's going on when we get to the bottom.
Excellent. And how about you, Matthias?
I am curious, of course, but, I don't know that I'm brave enough to dare to do something like that by myself, so I will follow the lead of the others and try to just get down safe and sound.
Okay, make your roll then, please.
Alright, I don't have any athletics, and I guess survival wouldn't be applicable here, which would mean that dexterity is what I would roll.
I'll let you use survival, but the difficulty will be increased to 2, so you need 2 hits.
4.
And so you likewise reach the bottom of the chasm without distraction, and also hit with the baffling effect of this deep stone, which Kiva and Zions can explain. From here, you can now take in your surroundings. The wailing wind above you has ceased as well. You're not being buffeted by any kind of elemental force. Instead, this cave, the bottom of the chasm, is frosted lightly in ice. There's a wide entrance. It's actually carved, and there is an archway built into it, heading in one direction. But Zions stops you before you head through it. According to the map, that is exactly the wrong direction we should be heading in. He looks around. There should be another path from this place. Could each of you make a survival and cunning roll? If you have any kind of power that would help you in finding secret passages or anything hiding in the shadows, feel free to invoke it now.
Well, would my keen senses help with this?
Ooh. I'm happy to say yes. Essentially, you'll be trying to feel for a change in things like air pressure, any breezes that might be emerging from cracks in the wall, that kind of thing.
Well, unfortunately, they don't help anyway, because I get no successes. So, no hits on this one, as I kind of just stare about in the dark, being confused. Well, as I stare about in the area, not that dark due to all those gems, of course, but not seeing any other paths.
No, you and Kiva have earned momentum at this point, because of course Kiva failed her roll earlier too. So just keep in mind that you have it, should you ever wish to re-roll or add enhancements. How about Trillin and Kiva then on searching for a way out from here?
I ended up with 1 hit.
1 hit, okay. And how about you, Matthias? Survival and cunning.
That's 6.
Well, Kiva, you're the one who identifies where the ice is thinnest in the wall. Trillin, you're the one who identifies exactly where you need to crack it to make the whole thing break evenly, without having to chip anything away, make a great deal of sound, or anything like that. You can basically cut a strip into this ice, peel it off the wall, and wouldn't you know it, there is a thin fissure that might act as a corridor. And Zions points. That is our route, and we have found it silently. I suggest we go silently now as well.
I nod silently at him, showing that I understand exactly what he is saying.
I say quite loudly, right you are!
Zions shoots you a look of, I will wring your bloody neck.
I smile, not seeing the issue, and then proceed to move on silently.
I just nod and pat Luck on the shoulder, because of course he would be loud.
Your Chaos Rock is actually feeling quite sad right now, if it can have feelings. It's as if its own power is diminished in this place.
Aww. I'm gonna hug it, because obviously it needs a hug. It needs that feeling of love and care. So I am going to clutch it close, and I am going to just pet it as you would a sad animal.
Well, that's very good of you. Your pet rock, however, starts planning the Chaos Rock's demise.
No, but the pet rock is wonderful too. Oh, I love them both. I can have two loves. It's okay.
The party heads on through the fissure. Kiva spreading her affection between 2 inanimate objects, and you don't have to travel far at all before you reach the temple that Laquero had mapped. You can see why it was hard to find. When that chamber was absolutely coated in ice, there would be no reason to look for a narrow crack in the walls that might act as a corridor. Everyone would head toward the wide archway. Here, it is as if this place has been sealed off, that a quake in the earth, perhaps, a tremor, may have opened up slightly, and that's what allowed Laquero's group to find this place. But thank goodness, thank the gods, thank Fortuna, thank the earth below, thank the world below, that it did. Because before you right now is a vast temple. And it is a temple some things are unmistakable. Sometimes you might find a hut and you don't know based on its context whether it's a mansion or a hovel. This is a place of worship. You can tell from the idols surrounding it. You can tell from the gold and diamonds on display. You can tell from the altar at the top of immaculately carved steps, carved and polished with it. You can tell from the evenly planed roof and pillars. You can feel the bask of divinity as you enter this place. The idols surrounding this temple are all of great serpents, curled around pillars, coiled, some of them hissing, some of them at bay. There are countless of them, some small, some large. One above the opening to the temple, huge. It's wider than the doorway, leaning down as if to say, "Come on then, walk underneath me, risk it. See if I won't eat you." This is, this is definitely, it. Zion's is gold struck right now, and diamond struck too. He is no longer looking at the map. He is taking in his surroundings. Hell, you probably all are. Gold and diamonds have variable worth in the world below. Yes, there are currencies. Yes, ores and minerals are certainly traded among the moths and other such individuals, but to find a place practically carved from the stuff, that is a show of not only opulence, but also great alchemical mastery. There is no place that would produce this much of either material.
Well, I, for one, am also temporarily struck by the sheer amount of wealth right in front of my eyes, but then, believe it or not, sometimes even I am a little cautious. This sort of place should... Well, it doesn't seem like it was hidden that well, and why is so much of it still here? I'd like to maybe try something like an enigma cunning roll to sort of figure out, like, does anything about this seem particularly dangerous? Maybe there are traps all over the place, or some magical enchantments keeping this place as secure as it looks to be.
As you're on the exterior, you haven't moved in yet. I'm going to be imposing a fairly high difficulty here, Craig. Once you have entered and had a poke around, finding traps and such will be a lot easier, but of course you run the risk of triggering them. So you will need 3 or more hits to make any search determination at this point.
So that is 4 hits. So I sort of skulk down and I really begin thinking, again, I'm not the smartest man. It's not probably me thinking I'll know what any of this means, but I do know that sometimes traps are the same no matter who you worship or what building you make.
This is true. And the structure surrounding you and before you, you think it's replete with the damn things. You can see cracks in the wall where there shouldn't be, seams. You can see cavities in the backs of some of these idols' mouths or eyes. Traditional places where traps tend to be sprung from, usually because the idiot explorer likes to make eye contact with an idol, likes to look at it head on head as if saying, "I'm equal to you, whatever god you might be," at which point poisonous darts shoot into their eyeballs. Yeah, you're not going to be doing that, because you can see that this is not a place where you can easily wander. It's certainly not a place you can easily loot. You know that just tripping the wrong wire would probably set off 3 separate fail-safes.
I go over to Trillin and just lightly poke them. I say, "Trillin, you see all that?"
I look at where he's pointing.
Yeah, you see there? Death trap! Whole place a death trap. Look at that, there's probably something there. There's probably a poison dart there. Oh, look at that statue. I think we kind of need to be very, very, very specific where we're going here. Don't get me wrong, I'd like to take everything, but maybe we should just try and focus on one path and find something very valuable, and then map it down, because obviously that was the whole point, coming here to map it, and then maybe come back with an awful lot more people and a good deal of demolition gear.
Indeed, all we were asked to do was to map the place. Zions has snapped from his own hypnotism. We don't need to steal anything. We don't even know which god this is, or if they're still worshipped, or if they still have worshippers here, although there doesn't appear to be any signs of life. Does beg the question of what happened to Laquoro's companions.
Yeah, there is that. But I don't know, Siva, what do you think? Any idea which god it is?
Ooh, that is a good question. With my esoteric knowledge, would I be able to discern the god here?
You can make an Esoterica plus Intellect roll.
Okay, well that's only 2 hits.
There was a difficulty of 2 here because this is not a common deity. But you do manage it. You've heard of serpent gods, of course. If there is a community in the world below that's lasted longer than a generation, they tend to make some kind of household deity if they don't worship a greater god. And you look over to Trillin. Trillin, of course, is an Antxon. Antxon are serpent people. They don't necessarily have a god of their own, at least not now. But Antxons, such as Trillin, who are part of Chilzil, being an indigenous community, these people stretch back centuries. Their ancestors stretch back millennia. It stands to reason that they had their gods, even if they were once upon a time sealed away. This is one such god. You once heard a story of a wanderer who came to... You come from Telva's Hearth, don't you, Kiva?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, a wanderer came to Telva's Hearth once, set up a small shrine there to a snake god, called it Mormo. They kept themselves to themselves. Everyone afforded the place a wide berth. Everyone felt like the shrine was in some way inhospitable and even prone to stirring up aggression in anyone who walked by. The wanderer just left the shrine there, maybe anticipating that people would start worshipping it. Eventually, some brave soul or disrespectful Templar just smashed the whole thing as a heresy. But you remember it. A fringe concern that dealt with creation, or with rebirth, with creation, with death and rot, a cyclical kind of god. And depending on the stage of the cycle, from what you remember, determined the mood of her worshippers, and supposedly the goddess herself.
Oh. Well, that's fascinating. I relay all of this to the group, and I guess once we entered into here, how is the chaos in this space?
It is at a safe level. Your chaos rock isn't about to explode. You would be able to channel your sorceries here without any great inhibition. But yeah, likewise, you haven't fully escaped the dampening effects of the deep stones outside.
Okay, but my chaos stone doesn't feel sad anymore. That's the...
No.
Okay,
no.
Great, good.
That's
hugs
the main
worked.
thing, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
yes, my hugs worked. That's the important part.
It was them that made it better.
You know, Mormo, snake god, it's a cycle, rebirth, creation, death, rot. It's a whole cyclical thing. Ancient, not super common, which, I mean, I guess makes sense given the, whole buried temple thing.
Probably predates the Great Descent, says Zions. There's a reason gods like this have been sealed away.
I suppose, although I don't know, Zion. Maybe we don't go through the front door, but maybe there's another entrance. Or it seems a shame just to turn back right away, no?
Well, we cannot just turn back right away, Luck. We still need to map this cave that houses this temple, and ideally part of the temple itself. If other cartographers and stratigraphers are going to make their way down here, they're going to need to know where some of the traps are. If not all of them.
Well, I suppose we could make a start. As I make my way forward, does it seem as if there's more to the temple than just a straight road entering it? Does it seem like there's spaces around the temple or parts of the cavern that extend further?
The cavern does extend further. It isn't like a perfect dome or anything like that. It's quite a rough, not even hewn place. This is a natural cave into which someone has clearly considered it blessed and built a temple. Maybe at some point there was a nest of snakes here where there shouldn't have been. Maybe a proud family of Antxon lived here for generations. You can't know the origins of why this location was chosen, but the dimensions of the cave allow you to wander around it. Trillin, seeing these idols, serpent gods, well, it is difficult to not feel the ancestral importance.
Yes, there is something about this, about Mormo. There's some ancestral memory. I feel my scales, they kind of shudder, just thinking about memories that aren't mine of adventures that happened a long time ago to people related to me. And I just try to shake it off and try to respect this place. It was important to those who were here before, to people who are like me. We must try to not disturb it too much, I say to the others. It is a holy place, after all.
Holy. Zion shakes his head. The world below provides, Trillin, not some snake god.
You are right about that. But it meant a lot, too. To people who are like me. I don't know, I feel a sense of responsibility somehow. I don't know if you understand.
I understand. Doesn't mean I agree.
You don't have to.
You can hear something, Trillin. You can hear, well, it's a voice. This isn't like in the Wailing Chasm, where there's a cacophony of them. This is a clear, singular voice. It's a woman's voice.
Trillin. I focus in on the voice, and I listen.
Lead them to me.
Bring
them to me.
Who are you?
Bring them to Mother.
Mormo?
Yes. Bring them to the altar. Let them receive my blessings.
The voice is only a whisper, beckoning for you to lure your companions to an altar, which is for undoubtedly reasons that you would morally object to. There's no real equivocation there. But the voice is real. You can hear it. You can hear it not just in your head, but you can hear it on your ears. You know, you feel almost the breath ruffling your scales. But it is only reaching you. There are many, and you mentioned earlier, there are many kinds of creatures, there are many kinds of effects that might try luring people to their doom in the world below, and many of them are successful. This is not the most subtle. You can sense the danger straight away, but it does imply that there's an intelligence at play here, even if it's only basic or if it's weakened.
If I'm the only one who can hear that voice, I do feel a responsibility to tell the others. Maybe it's because of who I am, what I am. I can hear a voice. It's asking me to lead you all to the altar, where there's, well, undoubtedly bad things will happen to you there. We have to watch out. I mean, I know we already were, but, well, additionally, if we can.
I raise an eyebrow and I say, well, that sounds not good then. Let's not go to altars and do things at them.
No, that do you think that that Liquoro wasn't as great at not listening to weird whispery voices, and maybe that's what happened to the rest of his party?
Well, only one returned, right?
Uh-huh.
Probably a fool enough to think that his safety was guaranteed if he gave up his companions. But what of this, Trillin? What if the voice gives you a safe path into the temple? To deliver us? It would allow us to map it. We don't have to do what it says. Unless, of course, it has a power inside the temple that prevents our departure, in which case that would be a bad idea.
Yes, but you have a point. It would be interested in making sure that we survive all the way to the altar. So yes, perhaps I can follow what the voice says. If you are willing to follow me.
I would be willing to follow you. It is most important that we map the interior of this temple. This is, after all, what we have been employed to do. The cave is also important, do not get me wrong, but the temple is the prize, and we must keep our mind on it.
Agreed. I look to Luke and to Kiva.
Well, Luck, you have been scouting around the exterior of the cave while this conversation's taking place. As you approach the rear of the temple, and the cave is reaching its end, the ground is lousy with stalactites, and there's a constant drip from the ceiling above. There must be moisture, not just coating the surface, but maybe there's an underground channel somewhere close to here, or a lake, you think. You notice in the shadows beyond the temple a small field of, well, what can only really be described as stakes emerging from the ground. Long, thin spikes. These aren't natural. These have been planted into the ground. It's like a small forest of them. And it's difficult to tell up ahead, but you're not sure whether the cave is ending at all. It looks like the darkness that you mistook for a cave wall is just a thickness of these stakes that you would have to struggle to wade your way through. An enormous trap, if that's what it is, because obviously if you fell on them, that would be bad news, but looking above them, the roof, the ceiling appears solid. You can't see any great gaps that someone might fall into. You can approach if you want.
I think I will. I'll be quiet and quick, but I'm very curious. Is this maybe supposed to hide something? Maybe it was a defensive thing, but defending against what? It's very unusual. Let's go have a closer look.
Kiva and Trillin, you are aware Luck has disappeared. Do you wish to head into the temple together?
I will lead Science through the temple. That's what I've set out to do, so I look to Kiva then to see if she's willing to follow.
I am, but before we go in, I was wondering if I could make an attempt to tether some of the wild chaos in this space. I know there's not like a ton, but I'm concerned that if there is some sort of god at play, that, we can use every advantage we can get, especially if Trillin is hearing voices. You can never trust magic, right? Like it's just kind of like a thing. And if we can get like an advantage to maybe resist things that may happen inside the temple or harness the chaos in some way, I'd like to give us that advantage.
So here's how tethering wild chaos works in the completed game of the world below. Essentially, you tell me the effect you're looking for, and based on a number of parameters, I will calculate the difficulty and any complications related to it. Once the book is out, the players will be able to review those parameters and can start basically calculating their own preferred tethering attempts, construct their own sorceries, essentially. And these things are affected by, let's say, the range of the effect, the kind of effect you're trying to pull off. Are you trying to affect elements? How many people you want to encapsulate in this effect? That kind of thing. But as you don't have all that information, V, why don't you tell me what you want to do, and I will tell you what happens with your tethering wild chaos attempt.
Sure. So what I would like to do is try and bolster any sort of like resistances or anything. So whether that is giving advantages in specific fields or just adding enhancements to roles related to this scene.
Okay, so shall we say that, and you want this to apply to everybody, do you?
In a perfect world, yes. Absolute worst case, since Trillin is the one who is, hearing things, I'd like it to affect him. But in a perfect world, yes, all of us.
Okay, so there will be a difficulty difference if you want this to apply to luck as well, because luck is quite some distance away. But here's what you're looking at right now. This is going to be a difficulty 2 tethering attempt if you just want to affect yourself and Trillin and Zyans. It will give you a durability advantage, which is basically a standing enhancement to resisting things, whether that be the mental coercion or damage that is coming in. You have an enhancement because you have a Chaos Rock that will basically help you out here. However, there is some volatile chaos at play as well. That is going to be imposing a moderate complication. All that said, you only need to get 2 hits on your roll to succeed. The question is whether there's going to be any complication afterwards that creates a chaotic retaliation. So, we need to determine what dice pool you roll for this. Mm-hmm. As you are essentially trying to tether raw chaos, it's a defensive thing, I will give you a choice. I imagine I know what you're going to go for. I would suggest Esoterica, and as it's a resistance effect, either resolve or stamina.
That's kind of what I was hoping you were going to say.
So while you're rolling, just to explain to the listeners, effects of Tethering Wild Chaos is very similar to the crafting one spells in a game like Mage. You are essentially coming up with the effect you want and then calculating the requirements to basically lead to it. The payoff, much like a paradox backlash in something like Mage the Ascension, is a chaotic retaliation if you cannot buy off the complications that are attached to this tethering attempt.
Okay, so you said I get an enhancement because of my Chaos Rock, so that's a +1?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not a +1 to your dice pool, but if you succeed, you will get an automatic +1 from the enhancement.
Yes, okay. And then I also have, one of my theses is Chaos Spring. So I have a +3 enhancement to my roll. So that's a total of +4, which means that with my 2 hits, I have 6.
Excellent. Okay, no chaotic retaliation for you then, V. Kiva, you are able to impose this durability advantage on yourself, Trillin, and Zyans. And we didn't establish, that was my mistake, whether you wanted to apply it to luck as well, but if you do, it does, because you most certainly exceeded the difficulty.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I would like it to apply to luck as well, because even though he's off doing his own thing, it would be nice to give him a little help.
Yeah, he may need it in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
All of you feel bolstered. As the name implies, all of you feel durable. You think you could take an extra few blows. Hell, you think you could take more than a few. The chaos in the area has been channeled to actually balm you and embalm you. Essentially coat you in suits of armor in case everything turns hostile. Kiva.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you have incanted, Zions gives you a nod. Thank you. Is that the first time you've tethered wild chaos?
Not the first time, but it's not a thing I do all the time. Yeah, it's been a long time since I have. Yeah.
It is something I like to avoid, but you took the risk and it paid off. I feel stronger.
Me too. Yeah. I just sometimes you gotta take a risk, right? I'm generally pretty risk averse, but sometimes it's necessary.
Okay, Trillin, leading them into the temple now.
Yes.
So, appeasing the voice that is reaching you, you start leading them toward the temple. And dutifully, Mormo is guiding you so that they're not all just springing traps as they walk. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. You do, after all, have to control an entourage of 2 individuals and make sure they follow in your footsteps, as Mormo whispers to you,
That's it. Just another few steps this way. Stop. Turn right.
and so on. Mormo is quite slow and deliberate, but ensuring that you are not, again, falling into any pits of doom as you go. I would like for you, Matthias, to make a roll to just ensure that you follow the instructions to the letter. Should be easy enough. It's only a difficulty 1. And remember, you've got 2 momentum if you need to spend them. The roll I need from you, it would be, I think, we're going to go for... I'm going to let you survival again. It's the skill of the session, it seems. I'm going to let you survival and composure. Because you know that this effect on you, this voice, is trying to get inside your head. And at some point you're almost certain that it's going to attempt some kind of mesmerism, hypnotism, mind control, something like that. It would be surprising if it did not.
And I have 0 successes in spite of 6 dice.
Would you like to spend any momentum?
Yes, I don't want to be mesmerized at this point or accidentally walk into a trap that might end up killing us all. So, yes, if it is all right with the rest of the group, I would like to use some momentum here given the stakes.
Please.
Then we shall do so.
Okay. The momentum can either add enhancement, which would require you to have actually scored a hit in the first place, or you can apply it to a reroll.
In that case, a reroll. 1 success.
Very good. 1 success, 1 hit. It isn't great, and in fact, as you walk, you have to stop yourself at one moment, Trillin. You step about a centimetre too far over the edge of a tile, and a hiss of acidic mist bursts out from a seam in one of the walls. It's enough to make your skin, your scales, itch, but not, luckily, close enough to burn you.
Seeing this mist, I'm no, and obviously he's reacting to the fact that it itches. I am going to unwrap my hand and just form just a little bit of water and just kind of dribble it on his scales to kind of like wash any of that off. You okay?
Yeah, yes. Thank you so much.
Okay, just So remember, risk averse. Just
Yes.
slow and steady, okay? Okay.
Yes, slow and steady. Slow and steady does it. And I continue to listen to what Mormo is saying and try to lead them into safety.
Yes, the three of you head deeper inside. Zion's making marks on his map with every single step, trying to chart the safe course through. Meanwhile, Luck, you're approaching this forest of stakes. They have indeed been planted here, and judging from not just the tips of these stakes, but running down the sides of them, not running anymore, more stained in, there have been people or things, creatures, living things, impaled on, let's be clear, these stakes at some point in the past, because there's blood. There is blood that has not just stained the stiff pieces of, in some cases, rock, in most cases, petrified fungi, and run all the way to the bottom to create puddles that have long since coagulated. They're not ancient by any means. You know enough to know that blood in a place like this wouldn't survive long. There are enough bugs to make short work of it. Days, maybe? Weeks at best? Yes, this place was sealed off, but it wasn't completely sealed. Clearly. Something must live in here. Maybe on the other side of this forest of stakes.
Very interesting. I do find myself thinking about those other people that we still haven't seen any sign of, their corpses at least. Well, I suppose the others seem to be fine, and I look back, they seem fine in the temple, and for some weird reason I feel very sprightly and full of energy, but I don't really know why.
You do?
And I think I'm just gonna do... We are here to map, after all, so you know, you need to map all the parts of a cave, don't you? So, very quietly, very carefully, I'm gonna start making my way through the forest of stakes. I don't want to touch any of them, just in case, but let's see if I can just be very quick and quiet and see if there's anything on the other side. I'll turn back if it seems like I'm really going into a full-on forest, but surely there's not that many wooden stakes, if they are man-made.
Survival and dexterity, please.
Could I maybe do larceny instead, as I am trying to be stealthy here?
Absolutely. Larceny, that's what we should have used in the temple. Larceny and dexterity would be excellent.
That would be 3 hits, plus 1 more hit, as I do favour the silent approach. I am trying to be stealthy here. So 4 hits total, I believe.
In that case, when a sudden flurry of movement occurs up ahead of you, it does not result in you being peppered with bolts or arrows or flechettes. You remain hidden, at least just about, but you can see and hear the scuttling of many-legged creatures. At first you wonder if it's spiders or great insects, but then you see that there are faces and masks over some of those faces, and they are hissing at each other, they are speaking to each other, they are chittering at each other. You've encountered these creatures at least once before, Luck. These are Hemexi. They are spiderous or crustacean-like, depending on your point of view. They are blood drinkers. They are dire creatures that live in nests. They are intelligent. They are sadistic, which is probably why they enjoy impaling people. And it would appear they've made the rear of this cavern their home, along with wherever it heads to. Maybe the reason no one has been in this temple for generations because the Hemexi decided to invade it. Either way, some of them are moving toward the forest of stakes. Whether that means they have detected you or your friends, or they're just coming to scout around, you do not know, but they are certainly approaching.
Well, that is not good, I think to myself, as even I know to be silent at times like this. I am, after all, a silhouette. I need to get back to the others and let them know right away, so I am very quickly and quietly just gonna start skulking back. Now I've seen this, I don't want to draw any attention. Let them do their patrol. But now we know why this cave is, well, even more dangerous than we thought. I need to let my friends know, so back I go.
Okay, I'm going to need to ask you to make another roll, I'm afraid, Craig. This time the difficulty's higher. Actually, no, I'm not going to add difficulty. I'm going to give your durability advantage a play here. Well, typically, this would be a speed advantage that you need. I'm going to say durability will apply in this case. Could I ask you to make another larceny and dexterity roll? You should be good at it, but we will see. Sometimes the dice can turn on the owner.
I get 8 hits. 2 of them were 10s.
So I assume you're going to buy off any complications in your way as well.
I definitely am. In fact, can I, with that many hits, get a benefit of some kind?
Well, hell, you would be able to buy tricks, universal tricks, combat tricks, anything you really wanted with 8 hits. But for narrative's sake, I would suggest it certainly enables you to get back to the front of the temple. If there is anything you want to do to slow these Hemexi down, knowing that doing so would almost certainly reveal the fact that there are people here, you can do that with these hits. That's your choice. But if all you want to do is the stealthy, stay out of sight and mind route, you can reach the front of the temple without any issue. You are as light as a feather.
You know what, I think this is an urgent matter, so perhaps I am a lot faster than I normally would be, but again, I am quite good at this when I'm focused, so I dart forwards very quickly, almost blinking between the stakes, and then suddenly scuttling, going into a full run, but in a sort of a crouch. And yes, I think we're going to use all these hits to just make sure I get back to the others as quickly as possible, completely undetected. I don't want to draw any attention.
You can see them disappearing deep into the temple. How are you going to get word to them?
Oh, I know.
I know what you're thinking, Craig.
Oh, do you? With the pet rock?
Yes. Yes, you're going to hurl a pet rock at the back of Zion's head.
Well, wait, yes. Yes, I am. But you know what? I know how to throw my rock so that it doesn't actually hurt that much, and Zion's a big tough person. I also know that Zion would know that if anyone was going to throw my pet rock at him, it would be me. So yeah, I think I'm going to skirt along, darting across any potential traps, see them all the way down that tunnel, and just throw it as far as I can.
Right, so ranged combat and dexterity, please. I'm going to say that there's a moderate complication here, Craig. It will be hitting a trap, not hitting hitting Zion's. That's easy. You're skilled at that. Hitting a trap, that may be more of a pain. As Luck is contemplating this, Trillin, you reach the altar, and now the voice in your ear is clear, no longer whispering.
Yes, you have delivered them to me, good child. Good child.
You feel a blade growing in your hand. It is a long serpent's fang. And then you see in your other hand the same thing growing. They're growing from your wrists and between your fingers, like punch daggers, but as if they are part of your body. And you're able to clasp them. Somehow it's comfortable to do so. You can smell that there is venom on them. You think this is some kind of blessing, that you have these piercing, poisonous daggers as part of your body now, these serpent's fangs. And Mormo tells you, commands you, slice them open on the altar for me, child. Now, I would like for you, Matthias, to try and resist that. You have a durability advantage here, so it's very likely that you will manage, but that doesn't mean there's not difficulty involved. It is a very good job that Kiva gave you this benefit. You still have to overcome a difficulty of 2. You are not going to be beset with any complications because of your advantage. I would like for you to roll. I think in this case we will probably be going with... Well, we're going with Resolve. And the skill... Probably Esoterica. Or Enigmas would make sense. But if there's an alternative you would like to use, say now.
I don't have any of those two. Empathy... Leadership?
Empathy would work. Empathy or leadership. Leadership because you're not going to betray your friends. Empathy because you don't want to hurt your friends.
Indeed. Well, then leadership it is. That will give me 6 dice to roll.
Okay, you just need to get 2 hits here to overcome Mormo's compulsion.
Ah, yes. Exactly 2.
Okay, in that case, Kiva and Zions both see these weapons in your hands and see the look on your face and the struggle as you grit your own teeth. And then, Luck, how did you do with your roll?
I got 110, so 2 hits.
2 hits is enough to hit Zions, but it isn't enough to buy off a moderate complication as well, unless you spend your other momentum to increase the enhancement by 1.
Yes, I'd like to use a momentum to buy off that complication.
Alright then, so you send a pet rock flying. Unfortunately, you do not have enough enhancements to turn this into essentially a non-lethal attack. The good news is it's not going to murder Zions just by hitting him. He also has a durability bonus going on here. The pet rock connects with the back of his head. He takes all of his restraint to not just turn around and roar at whoever it is, based on the fact that the corridor he's in is full of lethal traps. Instead, he twists on his heel and goes for the hook on a chain that he keeps as his weapon, narrows his eyes when he sees you at a distance. And that look that he's pointing at you right now, Luck, is, I told you I'm going to wring your bloody neck. Now I'm not going to stop at ringing it. I'm going to take your fucking head off. What are you doing?
I begin on the spot, because, don't want to jump onto traps, just on the spot, jumping up and down, waving my arms around, and sort of mouthing as best I can, danger, danger, danger! And then trying to make gestures pointing around me.
Your mime artistry. Everyone can see you at this point. Is probably going to be, I would suggest, culture and presence or manipulation.
Let's see, culture... I could also say artistry, but they're both the same.
Artistry would work, yeah, let's go for artistry.
So, 2, and did you say manipulation?
Yeah, we can go for manipulation or presence.
2 hits again.
2 hits. Well, in that case, while Zions is not convinced, he's just looking at you as if you deserve to die right now. Trillian and Kiva, the signal is clear. Luck isn't just being a fool right now. Luck is trying to warn you that there's danger, and it isn't just the traps inside the temple. But you are at something of an impasse. Yes, you have mapped the, at least, initial interior of this temple. But where are you going to go? You can run back the way you came, but there's a dirty great chasm you've got to climb up to get away from here. You could hide inside the temple, in theory. But that's hardly going to be hospitable. Or there was that carved archway that was on the other side of the cave that led you here. You don't know where that goes either. Trillian and Kiva, what are you going to do? You're going to have to make a decision damn quickly.
Once I'm sure that Trillian is not actually going to kill us, I'm going to reach down and I will pick up the pet rock, because obviously it's very important to hold on to that. And then I just look at Trillian and say, we should go. I don't think staying in here is the right case, because especially if Mormo is talking to you, you're probably not the only one that she's talking to, and might be talking to somebody else, especially if there are multiple other people. So where should we go? What do you think? We should go, though. We should definitely go.
Trillian, while Kiva is babbling at you about what you could possibly do and what you probably shouldn't do, your eyes are drawn to the altar. The altar, which is a simple alabaster stone, you can see that there is a compartment underneath it. A compartment that has a groove inside that would fit one of these fangs that has emerged from your wrists.
Perhaps that can be of help. I'm mesmerized by that. I will attempt to push in this fang to try to open it up. Just not listening to what Kiva is saying, just kind of as if Mormo is compelling me to do this almost.
You slot a fang into the pedestal, and the pedestal splits apart quite organically. It uncoils, if you like a snake, like alabaster absolutely shouldn't, around you. It just shifts and swirls. The stones, the flagstones in front of you, all of them gold and inset with diamonds, start moving as well. It's quite difficult to keep your feet. But as it does so, it opens up a staircase underneath the altar. A staircase that leads beneath this temple.
A way out? I say, not being particularly sure about that, but I look to Science and to Kiva and kind of shrug, but pointing towards the opening that I have created with my fang.
Luck, on the outside, you can see that they're fiddling around with the altar and seems dancing on the spot for some reason. You can't see exactly why. You're still, of course, in silence, but you can hear that these Hemexi are getting close. You can hear them chittering now, and they are not far away. Are they on a patrol or are they on a hunt? You do not know. Craig, you're going to have to make a decision yourself now, and quickly. Are you going to run into the temple to join them? Are you going to run out the way you came? Are you going to try and find a place to hide in the cave? You tell me.
Well, I think now will be a good time to use my once per session extra sensory perception, because I'm going to look in the direction of the Hemexi and just see if I can tell from their movements. Are they coming after me or us? That doesn't require a roll. So are they moving with hostile intent?
They are moving with hostile intent toward one of you, and it's probably you. If Mormo is in contact with them, not that you know that's been going on, she has presumably told them there is an intruder that is not being delivered to the altar. As far as you're concerned, and your ESP tells you, yes, you are being hunted.
Oh, wonderful. They must have heard me somehow. Well, I don't really have a choice, do I? I've got to run to the others. Obviously, I am going to try and do a little bit of athletics here so I can avoid as many possible trap locations, but...
Oh, this is going to be difficult. Athletics and dexterity then, please, Craig, to see how badly Luck gets completely screwed by all of these traps. This is going to be a difficulty 3 challenge. And there will be a major complication attached as well, which is essentially a complication value of 3. So if you are able to overcome the difficulty, don't worry, you'll get in without getting harmed. But if you trigger the traps will still be triggered behind you and may well signal to the Hemexi where you are.
Well, the good news is I got the 3 hits. Unfortunately, I think I'm just going to have to accept 3 successes. I cannot buy off the complication.
Well, 3 hits are still 3 hits. In any other task, this would be good, but as you are currently charging into a temple that you know is absolutely resplendent with lethal hazards that have been laid out specifically for people like you who go barreling in, you are frankly lucky, living up to your name, that you are not bombarded with them. So behind you, walls start grinding, spikes shoot out from panels, an acidic mist, a much larger cloud of it, bursts behind you in an effervescent cloud. Your 3 companions can only stare in bewilderment and horror as you come charging through this trap-laden corridor towards the altar, setting off all and sundry behind you and making no small amount of noise while doing so. All of you can hear the Hemexi now because they scream out. They know that not only is there an intruder, they know where the intruders are. You have very much narrowed down your options here to the staircase heading underneath the temple.
Yes, I stumble forwards, doing my best to avoid all these dangers, and indeed it is a good thing that I'm quite small and quite agile, as I do a lot of leaping, ducking, and rolling. But I finally arrive at the others, look at them, sound slightly annoyed, and say, "Well, I was trying to get you to come away, but we're too late now, isn't it?"
I just show my fangs to him.
"That's helpful! Where are we going?"
And I point towards the staircase.
Down it is, then.
Down it is.
Great. Yes, down into the thing that we don't know anything about. This is fine. I'm sure this is fine.
Well, it's either that or be eaten by a Mexi.
Shut up!
Zions trudges off, begrudgingly, down the steps beneath the temple. I assume all three of you go with.
Oh, yes.
None of you hang behind.
Oh, I go, although I do let out a bit of a huff and say, I don't know, try save a man's life, what do I get?
And you disappear into the darkness of the unknown beneath the Temple of Mormo.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the Serpent God's Fangs for The World Below. The World Below is published by Onyx Path Publishing, and you can find the link to the game in the show notes. Joining us in this series are none other than V from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Ager Sonus and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, and Graham Barey for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of an Indie Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that the world below provides.